When it comes to Warframe, there's one figure in particular that always comes to mind: Excalibur. Excalibur is the frame that most automatically think of when they hear the name Warframe. Most related media and merchandise of Warframe at most feature Excalibur, along with him being one of the 3 starting frames, effectively making him the poster child of the game, similar to Heavy in Team Fortress 2.
Thank you!
As Excalibur is often considered a balanced choice for new players, this often leads them to gravitate towards him. Now before I get into any statistics, I need to give a couple of disclaimers, the first being in regards to this video only. This will contain minor spoilers in relation to the sacrifice quest, so if you haven't played through the game up to that quest, click off the video now. But if you already played the sacrifice, or don't care about spoilers, then we can continue on. The second disclaimer will be within every video in this series. Just because a build for a frame or weapon is in any of these videos doesn't mean that they are the correct or right way of using them. I'll simply be going over builds that I personally use along with other possible builds to go with. As Warframe is the kind of game that can be played however the player chooses, there's no right or wrong way of going about modding, so if a certain build doesn't work for you, don't be discouraged. Experiment and find a build that works best for you based on your playstyle, and when you do, fantastic, rock that build. I'll also be going off information based on the version of the game that will be displayed on screen, so if something seems outdated, it's most likely because it is. Okay? Let's go then. Did you know, Excalibur is currently the only frame with more than 2 variants, those being the original, Prime, Umbra, and Umbra Prime, though currently players can only get 2 of these variants, those being the original and Umbra. Excalibur Prime, along with the Lato Prime and Skana Prime, was exclusive only to the Founders Pack that lasted between December 19th, 2012 and ended on November 1st, 2013. Excalibur Umbra Prime was exclusive to the Chinese build of the game as part of their Founders Pack. This offer has long since been discontinued. Excalibur is also based on Hayden Tenno, the protagonist of Digital Extreme's 2008 game DarkSpectre, with the armor later used by Hayden in-game being the basis of Excalibur. This would later be added as a deluxe skin for Excalibur, along with a skin for the glaive. There's also Orcan text found on the back of the right shoulder of Excalibur that reads Hayden, a homage to DE's previous title. In terms of stats, Excalibur is a very well-rounded frame, having decent health and shield while boasting additional armor, not by much but noticeable, though having a low energy pool. Excalibur's passive ability is called Swordsmanship. With this, Excalibur has a 10% increase in both attack speed and damage bonus for swords, dual swords, nakanas, and rapiers. These bonuses can also increase melee mods such as Pressure Point and Fury. Excalibur Umbra has an additional passive aside from Swordsmanship. When switching to your operator, Excalibur Umbra will act on its own will, similar to a Spectre or NPC, using currently equipped weapons and few abilities except for Exalted Blade. This is arguably one of the least used abilities I've personally seen used by Excalibur players. Slash Dash in by itself can be used as a mobility ability, try saying that 3 times fast, and as an attack. Damage is affected by ability strength, melee combo, and certain mods. These include damage, physical, elemental, weapon augments, and riven mods. Something of noteworthy is you're invulnerable during Slash Dash, so using this to pass through those pesky corpus laser barriers is ideal. This ability can be used while doing any movement, thus can be used at any time. Slash Dash can affect enemies across Limbo's Rift Plane, and is effective and can trigger Warframe arcanes. The augment for this ability, Surging Dash, allows for each enemy hit by Slash Dash to add to the melee combo counter. This ability is different between normal Excalibur and Excalibur Umbra. Radial Blind flashes surrounding enemies for a short period of time, leaving them open to melee finishers and susceptible to stealth damage bonuses. This ability is affected by ability duration and range. The Umbra variant, Radial Howl, has the same effect except with an added bonus. Sentient fighters in the Shadow Stalker will have their resistances removed by this ability if they have grown any resistances, making taking care of either of these quite easier. Radial Finish, the ability augment, increases damage dealt by finishers affected by Radial Blind / Radial Howl. Oh man, back in the days when Dracoville was a thing, this was the most used ability by any Excalibur player. For those of you wondering what Dracoville is, let me explain. Back before the Star Trek rework introduced in Update 18, Spectres of the Rail, Ceres was the highest level planet in the game, The Draco node was an interception mission that many went to for farming experience. The meta for this was Mag, Trinity, Frost, and Excalibur. After Spectres of the Rail, Dracoville no longer was a thing, leaving this ability not as used like it was before. Radio Javelin summons multiple javelins and launches them at enemies, causing huge amounts of damage and can impale enemies onto walls. One thing of note is that while the javelins don't have punch through, they can bypass certain barriers such as walls, cover, and Grineer Shield Lancer shields. It should be of note that this, along with Radio Blind, will not affect enemies unless Excalibur has line of sight of said enemies. Also like Slash Dash, Radio Javelin can affect enemies across Limbo's Rift Plane. The Augment ability, Furious Javelin, temporarily increases Excalibur's melee damage for every enemy hit by Radio Javelin. Arguably the crowning jewel for Excalibur, Exalted Blade summons an Ethereal Skana that acts as a single sword, sending energy waves with each slashing attack. These waves have the same damage output as regular attacks with the blade, but both are considered separate entities. These waves have punch through and will hit enemies through walls and barriers for as long as the waves travels. As Exalted Blade is considered a now separate melee, it can be completely botted separately like a normal melee weapon, and thus uses melee mods. The Augment, Chromatic Blade, allows Exalted Blade to do damage based on the color choice of energy similar to Chroma. Reds, oranges, and yellows deal heat damage, blues and purples deal electric damage, greens deal toxin damage, and blacks, whites, grays, and other muted colors deal cold damage. Modding Excalibur can go a number of different ways. To compensate for the low energy pool, using mods like Flow or Prime Flow that increase overall energy can be a major help. The majority of Excalibur's abilities benefit from strength mods. Mods like Blind Rage or Intensify will further increase ability strength. Range mods like Overextended and Stretch can expand the reach of Slash Dash and the radius of Radio Blind / Howl and Radio Javelin. Duration mods like Continuity or Prime Continuity can extend the duration of Radio Blind, leaving enemies blinded for longer. Here's some ways to use Excalibur in times of fighting enemies. First, start off with Radio Blind. Next, follow up with either Slash Dash or Radio Javelin. Whenever you have the amount of desired energy, follow through with Exalted Blade, along with a combination of the previous 3 abilities. Be sure to be mindful of the energy you have, as in a situation where you run out could be fatal. As for my build, I normally use Injury Siphon for the aura slot for all my Warframes. I also tend to use Quick Thinking on all frames as well. This mod is a huge lifesaver in many situations. Constitution is always a good mod to have as it increases ability duration and increases knockdown recovery. Prime Flow greatly increases the small energy pool Excalibur normally has, along with the combination of Streamline helps decrease the energy drain rate for Exalted Blade. And with that, concludes Excalibur. The next frame I'll be covering will be Mag, so if you fellow Tenno have any bits of info that could be added in, feel free to share them in the comments. I'd be more than interested in seeing what you got. Just remember, whether you're a newly awakened Tenno or a veteran, Excalibur is the perfectly balanced choice for players of all skill level. Until then, stay true, Tenno.